angel's messenger, and the accepted meaning of destiny is to make, firm, establish. So my guests and I bring you messages to establish what you need to know in the present. And also, I like working with angels, the calmness they bring. Now, in a moment, I will introduce you to my wonderful guest, Raphael Rey. But before that, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching this show live at a later date, as it means a lot to me to connect with like-minded women. Now, if you've never met before, then my name is Rae, and I love to help women to crossroads in their life, heal their past, create their future, and transform their present, so they can take charge of their destiny in the here and now. I'm the founder of Radiant Angel Energy, and I use future life progression, past life regression, angelic reiki, angel oracle cards, guided meditation, and hypnosis to help women who feel lost get clear on their reason for being here. And I've also created transformational packages, a journey through lifetimes, as well as a 6-week guided meditation series to help you step into confidence. Now, each episode of the show covers various themes of your journey, a mini guided meditation on angel oracle card reading with the wisdom of my wonderful guests, like today's guest, Raphael Rey, who'll be talking about story, its blessings and its lessons in our lives and our business. Now, Raphael is an intuitive consultant with a YouTube following of over 80,000 subscribers. I mean, how brilliant is that? He has been reading tarot professionally for approaching a decade and has always had a love of the arts, creativity, and magic. He has studied various disciplines and offers weekly, monthly, and special transit videos on his channel about astrology, numerology, tarot, combining in these methods and his skills to bring people insights and wisdoms from a deeply creative well. Now, Raphael has a fresh, frank approach to things, but always tries to bring a unique healing and warm energy to everything he does, and he has a most addictive laugh. It's so brilliant. So with reviews such as, what is there not to recommend about this gentle being? I'm cynical by nature. Having just had a Skype reading with him, I can tell you he's accurate, thoughtful, he delves deep and is a vessel of good for the energetic whole of us. I've used a few readers and liked some, but Raphael is superlative. And Raphael is an amazing reader. His insight is worldwide, not just person specific. I would definitely recommend any of his readings. So without further delay, hello, Raph, and welcome to the Angels Destiny Show. How are you today?
Wow. First of all, Happy New Year. Thank you so much for having me back. I really appreciate it. We always have a blast, so I'm really happy to be here. And thank you so much for the intro. That was amazing. I'm touched, so thank you.
You're welcome. So before we get into this fascinating conversation, I want to remind you that not only can you share this video, but you can also ask questions, leave comments and thoughts, as both Raphael and I want to be part of this conversation. So please don't be shy. And I already see that Shweta is saying hello. Tanya is saying hello. Kevin is saying peace, and peace, Ray, and peace, King. Malik says hello both, shared. Okay. Which is pretty cool. So remember, you can join in with the with this conversation. So Raf, why don't you tell us more about your journey and the power of storytelling and how important it is?
All right. So I was a pretty kooky kid and grew up watching all manner of. So I grew up in quite a strict Catholic background. But there was always on the fringes an astrologer, a tarot reader. There was always somebody doing the weird and wonderful and the mystical. And for me, that was the biggest draw. It's kind of what really validated to me that there was something bigger out there for all of us. And through my journey, I kind of discovered that I had gifts, if you like. I like that term because I truly believe that they are gifts, even as we develop into them and they don't feel like that at certain points, especially when you try to ignore them, as I did for a while. And as you know this, Ray, right? The knock gets louder and louder until you finally just say, okay, you know what? Fine, I'll go down this path.
Yeah.
And then everything just gets so much easier when you embrace it and you kind of say, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be going. Got it, big you. Thank you very much. Let's go.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a part of my journey. So as a young person, quite a turbulent sort of turbulent sort of time, let's say, and I hit really the peak of that between the ages of, I'd say, 19 to 24. That was quite a really tumultuous period for me. I tried to go off to uni to study to be an osteopath because I thought that might be the way. And it turns out it wasn't. And I still had a fair amount of my own healing to do at that point. And then, fast forward to about age 30, knock, knock, he finally gets it. Right. And
Always
it
the
all
way.
just, right. And it all first Saturn return. Thank you very much. And it all kind of clicked from there. I started Radiant Reality, and it just kind of has exploded into what we see now. And and I say this to everyone in my community as well. I bang on about gratitude and being present and really being grateful for all of your blessings as well. The thing that I'm really getting into at the moment is being grateful for my challenges, because that's where like the real sort of gritty growth actually takes place. So yeah, it's been an interesting ride, and there's been more than a few knocks and scrapes on the way. But I really believe that stuff is what truly qualifies us, and you know this better than most, Ray. Right? The best healers in the world are the ones that have healed themselves first, because when they talk, when they offer that wisdom, it's coming from a place of knowing, of spirit, of intuition, but also direct experience. And there's no substitute for that, none whatsoever.
No. And it doesn't have to be experienced in this lifetime. It can be experiences in previous lifetimes, that where you've done all your healing and your work and you've brought it into this current lifetime, which is kind of like what happened with me, because there was a point in my life, we're talking about stories and that, where I had this narrative. I've been doing all this for years, and it's always been there, but I had in my head this narrative that to be able to do that, you had to have issues in this lifetime. And I'd be going, but I haven't. I've had I've had a really great childhood. I've not had any major issues. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this because I've not had all this. And then it was the realization with past lives that I've had over 300 past lives. I have had issues, so many issues in all those past lives, from death to murder to lost children. Everything you could possibly imagine, that I bring into the here and now. So I changed that story technically when I went into past life regression.
Excellent. I love that. And it's funny because we touched on this in a couple of the other chats that we've done as well. This idea of fate versus free will. People come to astrologers and readers and tarot readers and stuff, and they say, well, if that's predetermined, then I don't have a choice. And it's like, no. It's not fate versus free will. It's fate and free will. They slot in together and they work together. And one of the things I try to get people to see, especially with the astrology part of things, is if you zoom out from the life that you're living now, you made so many decisions as a soul, as an energy floating out there, doing whatever you were doing before this life. And then before that, you were in a previous life, and it goes on and on and on, right? And you accumulate all of this knowledge and this wisdom, continuously refining your soul. So I'm totally there with you, and it's so true. Sometimes I believe that those little broken bits of code and script that come in, and we're like, oh, I know this isn't part of this time round, so where does it come from? Follow those threads. I invite all of you to really follow those threads of the different aspects of you that you can't really reconcile with this lifetime, because the chances are they come from a different version of you in a different time. And that really, really is a thing. And I think the more we start to talk about the energetic world and, moving from third to fifth dimension and stuff, people are really starting to understand, wow, I am actually a multifaceted being and spirit. And it's so nice to know that the world is finally getting there.
Exactly. And past life stuff, a lot of my clients at the moment are looking for past life. they've kind of like realized, okay, there's stuff in my past lives that's affecting me in my current life, and I need to heal and learn from that. And maybe the gifts I had back then, I can bring them into this current life as well, which is absolutely amazing. As you said, people are beginning to wake up to it.
Yeah, I love this. And it's so true. All of the gifts that you've accumulated in this lifetime, they're yours to utilize as you see fit. So make it something wonderful and make it something elevating for the world. Which leads me nicely actually onto the idea of story in the work of a spiritual or intuitive consultant. So important, right? So when people learn to read tarot cards, they kind of, it's all that memory and, oh, this card means this and that card means that. Well, I invite you to try it a different way. All right. Look at the card and tell yourself a story. Just let it flow, right? 9 times out of 10, the intuition coupled with the subconscious, coupled with the imagery on the card and the symbolism, you'll get something. And someone might be like, you might even surprise yourself. And that ability to tap into story is so important. Why? Because we all understand story. When you think of bedtime stories, when you think of the hero's journey, every single movie that we all love is a story. We resonate with this so much because when you go back hundreds, thousands of years and we're all huddled around a fire telling stories of how the constellations represented all of these amazing stories and beings and these myths and these legends, they resonate with us so deeply. And so the ability to tell story, to put through into words these bigger sort of universal concepts in ways that we can understand here on the ground, that really start to, okay, now I understand why, right? This makes total sense. Story is a way that we make sense of the world and the experiences that we have. It's the way that truly we become immortal. All right, when you think about all of the goddesses and the gods and all of the heroes of the ancient world and stuff, they survived because those archetypes speak directly to the experiences that we all have on, on a really practical level. And all right, fair enough. Achilles didn't have an iPhone 12, right? Yeah, well, we don't know. This is very true. Or I don't know. They didn't have, AirPods in Greece or Rome or ancient Egypt, to our knowledge. They had much more advanced technology
Yeah, I
than
was
we
going to
did,
say
though.
it's been much more advanced. They didn't actually need stuff like this.
Exactly, right. And they were still, I believe as well, especially when you think about the Atlanteans, they still had this, the telepathic link, that we're now just starting to rediscover, which is very, very exciting. So in tarot, that's one way you could do it. With numerology, it's the same, right? Each number is a vibration and it has different attributes and it means this and it kind of has those sort of energies of light and dark. But being able to say something to somebody about that oracle, right, through astrology, through tarot, through numerology, being able to tell a story to somebody that comes to you, or even yourself, about your own chart, your own numbers, your own cards, so important because it allows you to open up to that intuitive faculty. And it also allows you to start exploring why you're having the experience that you're having. One thing that I've really got into the habit of saying to my clients is, I'm going to take a professional guess, because that's what we do, right? We're astrological, tarot reading, numerological, spirit reading, weather men and women, right? We're astro or spiritual weather people. And what we do is take really educated, maybe a little bit finer tuned than most, but guesses in a spiritual sense, because we're looking at the potentials. So storytelling is so important. And in the life of the intuitive or the spiritual person, being able to recognize what part of your story resonates with some of the bigger myths and some of the bigger legends is really going to help you to understand at what point of your journey you're at and where you might be going from here.
That's actually really a good thing to do. Yeah, look back at the stories of old, and see what. So what story of old would be yours?
Ooh, I really like the story of Baldur. He's one of the Celtic gods. I really like Thoth, the god that wanted to know everything. I can definitely recognize myself there, with the just wanting and looking into things. But, I've got a Leo ascendant in astrology. And everyone talks about Leos being bold and brash and really theatrical, which I totally am.
Really? Wouldn't have guessed that first at all.
Right, me.
You? You're showing me
A part of the Leonine journey is also that they tend to go through a long period of their time or their lives as the underdog. And it takes a very long time for them to kind of go up that mountain, cross the threshold, and then say, okay, now I'm ready to claim my power. So for those of you that have Leo, strong Leo, moon, sun, or ascendant, Harry Potter, Luke Skywalker, Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, all of these kinds of stories, that tells the story of the Leo, right? Of that underdog sort of, I didn't even know who I was, what my gifts were. And then suddenly one day it clicks and I realize I have the power. All of us can resonate with that story at some point. So the hero's journey, I think it was Joseph Campbell that talks about that a lot. So powerful. And I think just going over those things would really, just to see where you're at in that story would be a really, really good practice. And also for everyone, whatever your sun, moon, or ascendant, one thing that I absolutely implicitly believe at this point, when you look back over your life, look at each moment that made you and broke you. And the reason I say this is because those experiences, there's a thread that just runs right the way through your life. And you start to look at it and you think, wow, you know what? I was being trained for this work in moments that I didn't even fathom that I'd be doing this work. Right. And so this is why I urge you, look over your lifespan and your lifescape and ask yourself, what are the skills that I've been gathering, gaining, fine-tuning? What have I been using up until this point? And what might those turn me into when I start to really reclaim that power?
Yeah, absolutely, totally. When you do look back, if I was to look back at my life, when I was a kid, I was a storyteller. I was, I know people diss her now, but Enid Blyton, I loved. Famous Five, all time favorite. I was in the garden. I was George. I couldn't do Anne. She was a bit too.
Love it.
Yeah, I was George with Timmy the dog. But I was always a storyteller, creating stories. For things. I was always interested in the moon. I got a telescope. I was always interested in how the mind worked. I loved the old kaleidoscopes, which now, when you look back, is actually geometry, which
Right.
is which is with Angelic Reiki. We work with that as well. And with the stuff I do, it is storytelling and helping people create their own stories, and living their own truth, how their mind works, etc. And again, it was all, you don't realize it when you're a child or when you're younger, but when you look back at that story, you go, oh yeah, that makes sense now. That's why I did. Oh yeah, that's why I did that.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so true. As adults, we've kind of forgotten this. Most of the people that are here tonight, most of the people that are going to watch this after, probably not so much, right? Because they watch tarot readers, they watch YouTubers. people that are in the creative
Mm.
flow. For the most part, though, when you become an adult, it's squashed out of you. Stop daydreaming, get your head out the clouds, bring yourself back down to the ground. And it's like, why?
Yeah.
Story and myth and getting into that sort of creative space. That is what, I mean, Einstein called it the sacred imagination. Oh, that's that's right. Like when I had that, or when I read it, I remember thinking to myself, yeah, it's not just because of his science. He understood that ability to play and to postulate and to build stories and narratives was important for discovery.
Yeah.
It really is. And so I invite all of you watching this either today or further on from here, tap into your stories, play around with who you might be, right? And I invite, especially for those of you that are parents, right? For I don't have any children myself, but I've got nieces and nephews, and I know that you guys have really been through it with the lockdowns. Everybody has, right? We all have, but the parents who have suddenly realized my little angels are not quite the little angels that I thought they were. Right? It's been tough on them. And I invite you not to dismiss your children or anything like that, but ask yourself who you might be if that wasn't your sole responsibility. For those of you that don't have children, but you've got really demanding jobs, what could you be outside of that? What else might you decide you want to do besides the job that you've been doing for the last 10, 15 years? If you're partnered, if you're married, all right, you're having this experience now, but what story could your marriage, your partnership, what else could it be? Dream big and dare to dream big so that you can tell yourself, your partner, your life, your energy body, a different story. And when you really get into that and you start reclaiming it, you can rewrite so many things.
Oh yeah, absolutely. When everything that is the existence has come from someone's imagination, someone's story initially. You think about Microsoft. That was Bill Gates's imagination. His story. Oh, what can I create? And he created that. You go back in time, someone needed, carts. Oh, what
My
story?
giant sports.com mug.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody somewhere has thought of a story and imagined it, and it's come into reality.
Yeah. I remember hearing a line on a show some years ago now, and the woman, one of the characters said, what you have to understand is everything in existence, everything that you see imagined itself into existence. And my mind just went, pew. I think I was about 22 when I heard that. And I was like, yeah, like something in me just went, are you paying attention? Listen to this. And it's true. Everything that we see, everything was once just a thought. Somebody told themselves a different story about what they could create or what they might need. And what we're living because of it is marvelous. We're communicating over, like we are. It's amazing, and it's marvelous. So that kind of actually leads me quite nicely on to the next point that I wanted us to really look at. The impact and the danger of stories and narratives that don't belong to us. Right. So for those of you, I know, Ray, you've done a lot of this work with people as well. Money, our money stories that we inherit from family, from parents. Money doesn't grow on trees. It's hard to come by. You can't. Yeah, money's the root of all evil. All of these things. This is a really, really good one. Because if you don't reframe those stories, it's either always going to elude you, it's always going to be hard for you to get hold of, and it's always going to seem like it's out of your reach. And I heard this, I think it's probably about a year ago now, and it kind of really settled with me because at the time I was working around some of these ideas of a package that I wanted to present myself. And someone said, like, if you think of money as a friend and you were constantly rude to that friend, mean to them, like you're the root of all evil and, you know, you're horrible and you're hard to come by. If you said that to a friend, they'd run 100 miles in the opposite direction. So reframing some of this stuff, really, really important. The first thing that I would definitely say, self-talk. Self-talk is the story that you're telling yourself about who you are, about what your possibilities are or are not. Well, I can't do that. I'm not smart enough. I don't have this. When we watch the films and we tap into those TV programs of those things and we're like, yeah, you know, they had a really hard time and look at them go, like they're making it happen. That's because that character decided this may be the story now, but it's not going to be the story then. I'm going to change this from here on in. And I invite you to do the same. It's not easy. In fact, this part of all of this work is the hardest, to change how we speak to ourselves and the stories that we allow to kind of settle into us. Mum's voice. You're never going to be able to make money from that. You can't do that. You're not smart enough. We're not from the right family, right? And they do it out of love. They totally do. But they've got their mum's voice in the back of their head and their mum's, and it goes back. Change the story. Change the narrative. Same with your father. You need to get a real job. You need to man up. You have to be this. You've got to be... No, you don't. And you can change that, right? You can change that story at any given moment, but it starts in here. And if you only manage to do it once a day for a month, that is still infinitely better than not doing it at all. All right. So it's not supposed to be instant, and it won't be. It's too hard to do it just overnight, right? And then the old stories and broken scripts that cut us off from the magic. And they really do. And Ray, you talked about this really wonderfully, actually. If it's not from this lifetime and you can't figure out, okay, you know what, this doesn't really speak to me, you know, here now, like this doesn't echo my current life, look in a previous one and don't be afraid to dig around in that space. Because those sort of broken bits of code or script will insert themselves, and usually at the most inopportune moment, right? And then you get that self-sabotage moment, like you've worked really hard, you've got the opportunity, you're about to press go, and then all of a sudden, vroom, the fear, I am not good enough, I am an imposter, I'm all right, change the narrative. It really is up to you.
Yeah, and it's actually recognizing that mindset as well, because sometimes we think we know that we're not going to let that get in the way, but when it actually comes to it, it is kind of like, oh, actually, okay, yeah, maybe tomorrow. You know, I need to go and do my nails, wash my hair, you know, tomorrow.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, and it's so true as well, right? Like, I'm sure I can wait another day.
Exactly, but if it's something that you start working on now, then you know, when it comes to that point, you're actually ready to go. And again, it's like that that story. If you actually tell that story of doing that thing successfully, and you tell that story to yourself again and again and again, when it actually comes to it, you'll actually do it straight away.
Yeah. Love that. And it's so true. You can absolutely train your mind to absorb that new story, to absorb that new narrative. Absolutely. And you know, like dogmatic thought patterns that go round and round in our heads, that kind of stuff as well. It can be really challenging, but when you break through it, it's so powerful, because you realize, actually, you know what, I've always been in control. And now I can, again, right, I can change that story, I can change that narrative. What's really important is with the people that you surround yourself with. If somebody is resonating at the old story about you that you're telling yourself, once you begin to upgrade it, you also need to let them know. All right. And I think this comes down to that whole, you are who you hang with, who you surround yourself with, who you connect to, especially on the energetic level. So important. And that's not to say there's anything wrong with any of those people that now sort of don't vibe at the same level. It's just that you're evolving, and you need to be okay with that, like be comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Not all characters make it to the end of the book.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. They don't. And something if to go back to something you were saying that actually came into my mind was there, when you were talking about your parents and that, and they heard it from their parents. When you actually change the story, you change it for your children, for your future generations as well. You actually break that cycle. So you're not just doing it for you, you're doing it for the people that yet to come, your grandchildren, great grandchildren, great, however many great.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
always get confused with the great.
And it's so true. Do you know what? I truly believe that. And I think it's wonderful that you mentioned it. And I've come to understand, sort of on a deeper level as well, that it actually works the other way as well. What we manage to heal and change the narrative of for ourselves and our future descendants, we're actually healing our lineage as well, our ancestry. Your spirit team, your spirit family, and all the rest of it are behind you. Like, they've done it. Someone has done it, right? Someone's broken this story that we were all kind of under. Powerful, really, really powerful.
Yeah, totally. And I've been showing various. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in on the show. It's been brilliant. We've been seeing lots of comments come up. So I'm just going to go through a through a few. It's those. Magella, what we were talking about earlier. Yes, you're right. You have to heal yourself before you heal others. She learned that the hard way. Um, and then she also says, manifest, believe, and receive.
Nice.
Definitely. And oh, Zoe loves you when you're being theatrical.
Love Zoe. Big love for Zoe.
And Magella says, yes, that's right. It took me 53 years to realize that.
Wow. But you did. And how
Yeah,
amazing is that?
yeah, exactly. And she also says her life was always around fairy tales. Yeah, I was never actually really into fairy tales, I have to admit. Um, no, I really was. Yeah, well, not the traditional fairy tales, because again, Enid Blyton. Again, I go back to Enid Blyton. She did the Faraway Tree, and what's the other one? The Wishing Chair.
Oh, for me, it was anything that had something slightly weird and wonderful, mystical, magical in it. I remember one of my favorite stories was 13 o'clock. It was about this boy that, do you remember the dandelion clock? You blow on it
Yes,
to see what the
yeah,
time is. And one day it ticked to 13 and he found himself in some far off mystical place. Things like that really captured me. So yeah, totally get it.
yeah, totally. And Graham says, "We live to experience and share, and not to idle." Um,
So powerful, and it's true. Anything that shakes you out of apathy, because when we sit still we waste away, really.
yeah, totally. We do. Um, do. Oh, we've got so many. I mean, I've shown so many on there.
Yeah,
We'll have
lots
to
of
go back.
comments, guys. Thank you so
I know,
much.
yeah. Thank you. You do make this show, and when we spot something and it comes on, that kind of like clicks us in and go, oh yeah, let's now
Yeah.
just talk about
Let's
that.
get into that a bit, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes. And
I,
yeah, go on.
sorry, I see one here that
Mm.
says from, I think it's Pamela. She says positive words plus positive mindset equal exceptionally positive paths. Yeah, absolutely. I think, yes, for sure, but also acceptance, right? For where you are. Just like all of those heroes, they kind of understand, okay, this kind of sucks right now, but it's not always going to be that, right? I can change it. So, yeah, absolutely love that.
Yeah, and I do love this from Graham because Graham is, for those that don't know, Graham is intuitive medium.
Well,
Um, and we actually do a show once a month live where he does readings and I do card readings, which is interesting that he started off because he connected with fairies. So, it just goes to show what you connect with as a child really can come into your adult life.
mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. And that feeds into this idea that we were talking about with the thread that will kind of permeate through your lifescape. Like you'll see, yeah, when you look back at that and look at everything that he's doing now, right? Connecting to different dimensions, different people. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is. And sort of like going back to something I said about theatrical, because this is something we realised on the last time we did the show, wasn't it? We both have got an interest in theatre.
Oh yeah, I love it. I did performing arts. I used to dance. I used to do drama, musical theatre, all of that. And in the theatre, you can't hold back, right? And when you meet the creatives that are still into theatre, they have that uncanny ability just to switch on the creativity, to shirk off the everyday and say, you know what, we're going to put that to the side for a minute and get into some of the fun stuff. And that's what this really can be.
Yeah, totally. And of course, when you're acting, you are also creating characters, creating stories, or being someone else's story. And that's another thing, if you're not sure on your own story, find a play that whether that's a musical, a play, whatever. Just find a play that has got that hero's journey in, where you can
Mm,
actually be that character, and then just read it.
yeah.
As you're reading the script, the play, when it gets to your character, say those words out loud. Go through the whole play, and you're then creating a story for yourself um, that that then might tap into what your old story was. But even if it hasn't, it gives you the inclination to create the energy around yourself. If
Mm.
that makes sense.
Yeah, I love that because in that way as well, you can embody what you're trying to reach. If you're not feeling very strong, if you're not feeling very determined, tapping into a character who has that determination and stepping into them could really fire that up within you. I absolutely love that, and it's really funny that you mentioned this stepping into someone else's shoes. There was, and I can't remember the article, but there was an article where they talked about creatives, theatre persons, people that do all manner of those things. It's scientifically proven that they feel at a deeper level than most people. And so that ability within them to step into somebody else's shoes creates an empathy. The ability to say, you know what, I'm not going through it, but I know that you're feeling this right now. It's such a gift. Like, it's such a gift. And if you can give that to yourself as well, oh man, some really powerful stuff can happen for you.
Yeah, exactly. So go and get a script. Find out, and it's something that that obviously both you and I do future life progression. And when we take people into a future life, what do? We get them to step into their future self to bring the
Yeah.
energy back into their current life.
Yeah. I think the work that the thing that I love most about that work is when you see the change on someone once they've been through their FLP session and they come back and you look at their face and they're like, Yeah, that something's happened there, and it's just really clicked in, which is wonderful. So yeah, it's great work. Which kind of brings me to the next thing that I wanted to talk about. If you've got, so we've talked about rewriting, reframing, reforming narratives, remodeling your life, and all of that. Do your goal setting or your intention setting by telling yourself a story. Up until now, first name that I can see, Graham, right? Up until now, Graham had always experienced life like da 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 da. But what he didn't know is that from tomorrow he was going to da 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 da, right? And feed into the story, the goal, the outcome that you want, and tell yourself that story over and over. Create a goal by creating a story. Try that, try it out just to see how big and how wonderful you dare to make your life.
Yeah, that's a really good tip, actually. Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, rather than saying I am going to, or I have done, create the story for it, and make it as big or as huge as you really want.
Yeah, and dare to dream, right? This is the beauty of theatre. We're not afraid to, to get out there and be loud and proud and embody something else, because that's not me, that's my character, right? And
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm playing the fairy godmother in the panto, and I'm so looking forward to going on dress and going, and with my wand going.
Love it. Magic and sparkles for everyone.
Oh yeah. I do the makeup as well, so I'm going to be sparkling.
Awesome.
But we won't tell the director and the producer that one. In makeup, I might just end up with some glitter. You never know. And Zoe said,
it's going to be a total glitter fest. I can see it now.
well, I might put some on the dames, might not, but I'm definitely going to put glitter on me. And Zoe's obviously had an FLP session, and she loves it.
Yeah.
Thinking it supports the theory of writing our own story. Absolutely.
100%.
And that and that is what we are here to do, to write our own story, to live our own story, not somebody else's or what we think somebody else wants our story to be, to actually to live and breathe our story.
I love that. And it's so true, to live and breathe. They're so important, so important.
Yeah. Yeah, Tanya agrees. Glitter is essential. You've got to have your glitter. Magella says both of you are funny. Can't think why. And Graham, my story evolves with each scene moment I experience it, because it is of my intention to set each morning and night.
Love that. And it's so true, right? Like, we get to choose. We truly, and I really believe that, which is why I say to people, this thing about fate and free will. So the way that I tend to explain it to people is like this: zoom out of the life that you're in now, come back into when you were floating around in the ether saying, right, what's the next life that I want or that I need to go on to? And at that point, your soul will have said, well, this is what I want to become, this is what I want to do, and this is what I need in order for that to happen. You come down to earth, you forget all of that, and you have all of these experiences, and you're like, there's no way I would have signed up for this crap.
Exactly.
But you did, right? So you were still practicing free will, but there are certain events that you're going to have over the course of a material lifetime that you needed in order to evolve in the way that your soul had decided it wanted to. And so it's still free will, but it is kind of fated in this moment. How you get to those big events, having your children, getting married, touch wood, the accident that changed the course of your life, all of these things, how you get to them is free will. Where you go from them is free will. Those sticking points or specific signposts or sat nav reroutes, as I like to call them.
I like that.
Yeah. Those are the fated things. And so you can see it's fate and free will, not fate versus free will.
Yeah. And if you take free will and change it into changing your story or living your story.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So true.
Yeah. Graham says, I love the fifth of life because of the intentions. We are my intent focus.
Hmm. Yeah. And that's it, right? You get to intend, you get to choose, you get to write, you get to decide.
Yeah. And what story, are everyone here who's watching, what stories are do you want to tell? What is the story of your life? If you want to share it here, or then share it here. Raph and I would love to, or love to see it. Where is the story? What do you want to what do you want to create? So Raph, what story do you want to create?
Ooh, I want to create a story, or should I say, I'm in the process of creating a story at the moment that takes me to a level that I never believed I could reach. And so I'm giving myself now permission to expand in some really new and really exciting ways. And up until now, in fact, right up until 2021, I probably wouldn't have gone that far. And now I suddenly find myself, like, especially with my work and my business, I'm considering things that I never would have done before. But I'm like, no, you can do this. And the only thing that's stopping you from doing that is the story of where you come from, who you've been, I can chuck all of that. I'm going to recreate this and I'm going to tell myself a different story. Not only can I, but I'm going to.
Brilliant. I like that. And Tanya says, silver lining finding is part of her story.
That's beautiful. Yeah. You see that, Tanya, as well? That's how you really start to tap into the idea of being able to reframe it, right? Okay, that experience sucked, but look at this bonus that I got with this at the same time. Nice.
Exactly. And Magella says, that's what I did. I changed my free will after 53 years.
Rock on. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So, it doesn't matter what age you do it, you can change your story at any time. And so it says you have the power to expand. Go, dude. You do indeed. And you can just see it coming off you,
Oh, thank
you
you.
know, I mean, I actually do watch Raf on YouTube when he does his readings and stuff like that, and it's literally I have I think I've kind of like really known about you since you really started Raid Reality, and I've just seen you grow and expand so much, and your energy, and you just have this vibe that's really sort of like just yeah, it's hard to explain, but it's absolutely brilliant the way you've been expanding spiritually as well.
Yeah, very much so. Oh, thank you. It's really nice to hear somebody kind of validate the journey, because you don't see yourself like that, do you?
No.
And I never watch my own videos back. Ooh, cringe. Especially the early ones. I'm like, oh no, not going to do that to myself.
Yeah, I have to admit I don't tend to watch my early shows. You know, when I go back to those. I mean, I have to obviously watch some of my shows because I need to do. I don't edit my shows,
No,
but sometimes I just need to actually go back. And Magella says my new life, as of from 2022, will be helping others through addition, as I've done now to help myself.
nice. I really like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and Graham says, my past used to try and close the curtains of my life, but it made my show story so much fuller. Getting ready for the encore now.
Oh yeah, I like that. Getting ready for the encore. I'll be looking out for that as your book title, Graham. I love
Yes.
that. Yeah, it's brilliant. Really, really great.
Yeah, I like that. Yes, Graham, you've got a book
Yeah,
there.
let's see it.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
I want to see that book. Oh, book three.
Book three. Wow, it's kind of perfect actually. It's like the trilogy.
Yeah, we like trilogies,
Mm,
but you got to have the story for the trilogy. But you can create your own trilogy if you want.
Absolutely. Right. Stories are made up of a beginning, a middle, and an end. And we're all in that middle part. So, what are we going to write for our tomorrows? What are we going to create or recreate or rewrite? And, be okay with editing your life ruthlessly so that you can rewrite it into a much better story, into a much bigger version of who you dare to dream to be. It's said that there's only 7 stories in the entire world, right? And that everything that we see is just an emulation or a mix and match of all of those 7 types of story, which is mind-boggling to me, because there are hundreds of millions of films and plays and books, and it's like, if there are that many possibilities in the world for other people to create, imagine how many you have to create your life with.
Exactly, and we won't even start to get onto parallel universes. Um,
That's for a whole other show and lots of fun.
yeah, and actually, maybe that's another show we can do. We talk about parallel. Yeah, let's
Yeah,
do that.
love it.
Thanks, Graham. I'm going to be in book 2 and 3.
Nice, nice,
I like
nice,
that
nice.
cameo role.
I was going to say, we love a cameo.
Magella, my book will be about my life in the past and how I overcame it with my spiritual experiences. Perfect.
Yeah.
So start right. If you haven't started writing it, Magella, do it.
Yeah, get to it. Love it.
Yeah, little bits every day. Just get your story started. So, as you know, I do guided meditations, angel oracle cards, and each week I like to ask my guests whether they would like me to do a mini guided meditation and angel oracle card, or sometimes if my guest also does things like that, and they've got their cards with them by some chance, then I normally suggest we both do something together.
Awesome. Let's do it.
And that's so. Um, do you want us to? Shall we both do cards, or do you want to do a card and I'll do a mini guided meditation based on what you pull? What do you
Yeah.
want?
So I've got a deck that my friend sent me that she created. It's for any of you that know human design. It's called the Human Design Oracle deck.
Wow.
And they've got words and different pictures and stuff. So yeah, absolutely. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless this deck of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help us all on our paths to our highest vibrational good. Rae, when you're ready, please just say when.
When?
Okay, so the card that we have, oh nice, is the Gate 42 and closing, right? And this is so apt for today. This is so apt for everything that we've talked about, because what this talks about is closing the curtain on the narratives that we've had before, on the stories that we've told ourselves, changing our lives in some way, shape, or form, and closing the door on all of the things that are either no longer working or no longer resonating at the frequency that we are now ready to step into. The other thing that I love about this card as well is it always suggests that, because you can see the sunset in the background, right? And she's closing the curtain on it. It's like, why would you want to close the curtain on the sun? Well, the sun goes down every day and it comes up anew. And so you need to be ready to recreate yourself and tell a new story. You know what the last one has told you. Now it's time to write a better one.
Absolutely perfect. So let's see what the cards are have got to say. So, what does Raph and everyone watching this need to know for their highest good at this moment in time? Does Raph and everyone? Oh, no. What does Raph and everyone watching this need to know for their highest good? What does Raph and everyone need to know for their highest good moment in time? What does Raph need to know for their highest good moment in time? Okay, what are we going to have? Perfect. Staying focused, hold the course. And again, we've got a curtain looking out
Wow,
onto a night sky.
that's amazing. Look at that.
As,
How
as
amazing is that?
always, absolutely perfect with what we've been talking about. And it is, staying focused on your journey here in this lifetime. You know, holding the course, holding your story, not allowing other people's stories to take you off course, off your story. So yeah, for all those watching, yeah, stay focused on your journey. Where do you want to go? That guy's looking through a telescope into the wide world.
Yeah.
And as with Raf's card, closing down, letting go of everything that no longer serves you on your story, and then moves on to my card that shows you looking out into the world through the telescope. What can you create?
Who might you dare to be? Absolutely. And dream big, right? And stay, like, I love that as well. Stay the course on the new story that you create for yourself. All right. Just stick it out. I love it. I just, yeah, just so awesome.
I know it's brilliant. I love the way the cards come, and as Graham says, note the same viewpoints with each card. Magella, wow, that was meant to be. Pamela, love how spirit works. Absolutely. Yeah. Tanya, fantastic. Yeah, Zoe, love the aligning cards. Theatre, curtain, star. Of course.
100%. It totally
Theatre
makes
had
sense.
to get in there. Theatre had to get in there somewhere, because we do like theatre. Yeah. So, Raf, do you have any insights or thoughts to leave our viewers?
We've been given a new year. If you're watching this, you made it, right? Through the gauntlet that was late 2019 coming right the way through the end of 2021. But all jokes aside, you are now on the precipice. Not even on the precipice, you've passed that, right? So you are all the fool in tarot, right? You've got a new year, you got a fresh start, you got a blank page and a clean slate. Anyone or anything that is kind of lingering, give them that same fresh start, that same clean slate, and just let it be done, so that as you start to write this story for this year going forward, you can create to your heart's content without anything holding you back. Each one of you has the power to create anything that you choose, to tell yourself a new story, and it starts with you and your consciousness.
Absolutely perfect. Thank you so much. So I hope everyone that you've enjoyed this conversation and found insightful, because I know I definitely have.
Yeah,
so yeah, it's brilliant, and thank you to everyone who's joined in. And actually, we'll just say Magella says 2022 is going to be the best year for all of us. It certainly is, and it's definitely collaboration and working with others this year. It's so much not doing it by yourself. It's really working, collaborating on your stories with other people.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I love that idea. Yeah, really.
And Graham, our chances to make worthy production on the World's Theatre. Exactly.
That's perfect.
It is. Sue says, thank you, wonderful show and so fascinating.
Thank you.
Yep, I'm going to come to this in a minute, Pamela. So we'll get to that as always, Ray and Rath. Okay. Nick says thank you, so inspiring. Thank you. Thank you both. Thank you so much, everyone. That's one of the reasons why I wanted Raf. I've been trying to get Raf back on the show for a little while now, but the calendar and diaries just didn't kind of like sync together. But it finally aligned for 2022. So Raf was supposed to be on my show last year, but it never quite aligned. And obviously the reason was because we needed to be at the start of this 2022.
Yeah.
Conversation. And so it says, love to you both and thank you for the entertainment. I'm in the middle of writing and collecting stories. Perfect timing.
Yes. Zoe, I will be in touch. Yeah, do you know what? And I believe that as well. Last year it was so full on, and so it was so jagged as well. And it was a 5 year. 2021 was a 5 year. 2022 is a 6 year. So you mentioned this thing about collaborating, connecting with others, working with others, not going it on your own or doing it alone is actually the perfect advice, right? The six energy is all about balance, creation through harmony. It's all about bringing more harmony to the things that you do, and also finding ways to work with and connect with others. So really bang on there, right? Absolutely.
Brilliant. Thank you. And that's always perfect. And that, and Zoe says, "Hooray! About time." Raf.
I know. I'm sorry. It's just been, like I said, last year was crazy. Things are already looking vastly better. So lots more collaborations this year.
That's good. So, as Pam did ask earlier, I'm actually now going to say, so Raf, if people want to connect with you, how do they do that?
You can find me on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and on my website, and they are all radiantreality.com. So if you can see my name coming across the bottom of the screen there, it's spelled REY. So Ray is radiant with an A. I am radiant with an REY. So radiantreality.com, and the same across all of the platforms that I mentioned.
Yeah, and what I'll do is at the end of the show, I'll go in and I'll put the direct links to all of Raf's website, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, etc. So you'll just have to click onto it. And Graham says, "When's your next book, Raf?"
Oh, my first book is actually in the process of finally becoming real. So that whole thing about giving myself permission to expand, I think that was a part of the old narrative. Like I used to say, like, yeah, I want to write a book and I'm going to write a book. And then when it came to it, I was like, who am I to be telling everybody this stuff in a book? And now I'm like, I know who I am. Let's get this written.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're fine actually. And Pam says, "Thank you so much, Ray, for expanding our village." Yep. It is. We're really kind of like that's one of the reasons I do this show, is to bring all these people together and to bring those of you who are watching, together and connecting with each other. And everyone who watches the show or comments or is on my show, there's always something that's going to link us to somebody else. So yeah, I love creating that community type, even if we've got so Graham, so when Graham and I do our Angels and Spirits show, we occasionally get people that come in and just start offering readings to everyone. And Raf, we have got somebody called Shiko Man who is actually coming and is asking people to inbox to consider for
Yeah,
reading.
the trolls have been attacking people in the spiritual communities for a while now, and it got to a point last year where it was really bad. It's starting to subside a little. Everybody that's watching this, everybody that is going to watch it, consider that this is it's a lower vibrational energy that clashes with what people like us do. And I don't just mean myself and Ray, I mean our entire community of astrologers, numerologists, intuitives, psychics, mystics, seers, witches, whatever you want to call yourselves under that banner of spiritual consultant. Don't let them do that to us. All right, we're here for a reason, and it's not to slide into people's DMs offering readings.
Yeah, yeah, we don't. And I always say, if they're coming on, then I'm doing something right, because they've
Welcome to the big leagues, darling.
Exactly. That's my theory. Yeah, if I'm attracting those people, they're coming to my positive energy. And I feel these. So, Raf, again, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and being on the show. This was absolutely brilliant having you on here. I've really enjoyed the show tonight. So, thank you so much for coming along.
It's been my pleasure. And you know what? I'm so glad that it finally got aligned and came together, because this has been great. It's been a lot of fun, as always, really informative. And I really look forward to the next one. So thank you for having me. Really
Ah,
appreciate it.
you're welcome, and of course, everyone, thank you so much for watching and joining in with the show. You know, you are part of the conversation, and that's why we do the show, so that you can join in with us and bring your positivity and stories to us, because we do like seeing them and hearing about them as well. So thank you so much. And of course, you know, if you have reached a crossroads in your life and you need some guidance and finding the meaning of your life and getting clear on your path, then I would love to be that guide for you. So please feel free to reach out and connect with me, and we can arrange a free 20 to 30-minute video call to help you gain some clarity on where you're going and how you can empower yourself to take charge of your destiny. And of course, I do have a weekly newsletter, which is free, if you want to sign up for that. And you will, if you do sign up, receive a free future life progression recording, where I actually take you into future lifetime to get some guidance and clarity that you can use in your current life, as well as a couple of other free gifts on there. And again, everyone, thank you so much for watching. And I'd like to invite you to share this video, as I'm sure there are more women who feel lost and want to get clear on their reason and their destiny for being here just like you. And of course, if you are watching this on my YouTube channel, then please feel free to subscribe and hit the bell button so you can be notified when the show goes live, or I post new guided meditations. And every like and comment on YouTube and Facebook really does help. And I look forward to seeing you all same time, same place next week. And we'll leave you with Merrick saying thank you guys for an episode and the information. And yeah, take care, everyone, and I'll speak to you next week. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.